and then to see where their home residence is, to see if they voted, and ask the Board of Election there, if they voted in the same election. That has to be pointed out. It has to be remedied.
So what that points out, we've got a lot of problems. In that Hamilton County situation, they've got right now proof that dead people voted. Well, that's kind of hard to do, isn't it? All right. Hey, we talked about several things. We got a hand waving. Hi, how are you?
You gotta watch out nursing homes also,
Nursing homes.
because people go in. I had a client of mine, she went in to visit her mother every day. She went in, and her mother had Alzheimer's, she was blind, she didn't know what day it was. She went in there, she had a big sticker on, smile face, I voted. She went out to the nurse's station, she said, how did my mother vote? She says, your mother has a right to vote. She doesn't know anything. Somebody came in and voted for her. So.
And that, sadly, it is so hard to chase that down and to follow it up, as Chris was saying. But let's talk about some things we can do. First, I suspect one of the most important things we need to know is who to support. How many, if you're an elected official, how about standing up right now in this group here? I'd like for you to introduce yourself and just say quickly who you are. Adam, tell them who you are.
Adam Frederick, County Commissioner.
And this young man, I know served in the Marine Corps, was a captain. Bob Gibbs, we've got over here, Congressman. Any other elected officials? We know the sheriff was here.
Nancy just left. She had to go.
All right, why don't you be Nancy and say something about Nancy?
Jim is more Nancy than me.
All right. Is that right? Oh, hi, Jim. Lisa says, I'm going to hear about that later.
Yeah, Nancy has been our county, or our municipal court clerk, and she's been a mainstay of the Republican Party here for years and years and years. And when we decided the old Republican Party just wasn't doing its job, needed new leadership, she worked very closely with MCFAN to make that happen. And we've had a resurgence this last election, first time out of the box with the new leadership, we swept the ticket. Everything in Medina County we won except president. Well, actually, we cast a winning vote for that, and for senator. And Medina County was one of the 8 counties in the entire state where there were more votes cast for Romney than were cast 3 years before for McCain. So the election may have been lost, but not in Medina County.
Thank you, sir. You know, the other thing it points out, I suppose, is if you're here and an elected official, those are the ones that we probably want to support. Because if they're thinking the way you guys think, that's the type of people we want up there. Now, what's some of the other things that you can do? So last night, someone asked me if it's time, in my personal opinion, for a third party. What do you guys think about that?
Yes.
I told them, if you guys do that, you're going to guarantee the Democrats every election from now on. Victory. And I will tell you another thing, at least from my perspective, right now, there are a lot of issues out there, a lot of concerns. And there's a battle on every front. And I think they're just throwing up stuff so we have to defend everything. I come up here last night, yesterday afternoon, and I go through all the counties. There wasn't gas anywhere less than $3.70 a gallon. Why? Did President Obama say in that time with Romney, one of the debates they had, that he supported the pipeline coming down out of Canada? You remember that? Where's that pipeline at today? I mean, we've got, yeah, and I will tell you that there's so many issues. Illegal immigration. And I sent out a tweet the other day that illegal doesn't mean illegal anymore. You know, what they're wanting to do is a path to citizenship for every one of those people. And if they don't build that wall, Bob, if they don't build that wall where the money was appropriated for it, if you've got 11 million now, you know how many it's going to become? 12, 13, 14, and I think it's more than 11 million. And every one of those people are going to support who? And why? Listen, every one of them, they come up here and they file income taxes. If you're a manual laborer, okay, and you make $10,000, $11,000 a year, and you're paying taxes in, but then you have children. Anybody in here do income taxes? Something called earned income credit, child tax credit. They're going to get back thousands and thousands of dollars from the United States government that they never paid in. Please? Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot of issues. Right now, we're fighting all of these things. Chris Long brings up some great things. Bob Gibbs knows all this from that platform that he's up on the big stage up there. But what can you do? You're here this morning. You got out of bed and you came here to listen to somebody from Southern Ohio that has a personal opinions. No, my opinion is no important than anybody else's. But I would tell you that there's hope out there. There are people that think just like you. There's over 100 people here this morning. And next month, when you have your next meeting, if every one of you invited somebody to come with you or picked them up and said, hey, I want you to come to this meeting. We got the sheriff of Medina County going to speak. We got Adam, the commissioner from Medina, going to speak. We've got Chris Long or whoever they have as the next speaker. You've had congressmen in here. There's hope. We can change this thing. It's not too late. I said before the election, it was a slope like this. The United States was going downhill, okay? And I said, we can change that with a new president. We can retain jobs. We can create jobs. Quit losing them going overseas and everything. Now I say that the slope's like that. I say the slope's even steeper, and we're sliding down. Who would have ever thought that in the United States Marine Corps that we would have openly gay individuals in the squad bay telling everybody that stuff? Who cares what your personal lifestyle is? Don't flaunt it in my face. I didn't like don't ask, don't tell, but it worked. I mean, just keep it to yourself. Now we've got openly gay individuals in the military, and what's the next thing they're going to do, the military? You following that? Women in combat. Now, I just watched the Super Bowl the other night. How many women were out there on that field playing? Wasn't that discrimination? Aren't there women that can play football too? Or basketball or whatever? I mean, come on. You know, and I appreciate all the women that serve in the military and everything, but there's a reason you've got physical differences and stuff. And any of you guys that have served in combat, you know what it's like to strap on 100 pounds of gear. You got your weapon, you got all your ammo, and you're running. Somebody's trying to kill you. And then, you know, it's tough enough trying to watch out for your buddies and yourself. And then you're going to have somebody that is 100 pounds of gear. How many people can do that? I was straining under all the stuff I had. Just the helmet weighs 13 pounds. But anyway, those issues, you know, you just go on and on. So many things. And you think, where's it going to stop? But what can you do? What can you do? Yes, ma'am.
Several people in here made the comment that we're losing the 20, 30-year-olds, that age group for voting. If you're younger than I am and you have children, they just made the point that a college student didn't know she only could vote once. Yeah. Tell your 16 and 18-year-old kids, because they're not teaching them in school, what that information is. And if they're in college, for heaven's sake, keep track of them, because their liberal professors are telling them garbage.
Yeah, and that's a good point, but I will tell you that, you know, down in Brown County, we have something called Drug Coalition Task Force that we're meeting in the local church, and we're bringing together church members and law enforcement, the courts, everybody. Is it the same up here? Drugs are permeating your society? I mean, everywhere. And what are we doing about that? You know, you've got so many single-parent homes, no fathers there, ladies raising children on their own and they're working. I mean, we've got a lot of issues. But the church is there. We need to engage the church, don't we, Chris? Get them involved in a lot of these issues and so forth. That's the solid foundation that we look to. When something bad happens, what do we all do? We pray for the person, don't we? Pray for the situation. And but what can each of you do? I was standing there in the back and I took a picture of this banner up here and I put it out on Facebook. And I've already got a number of likes on that. But the media that we have, the Twitter, Adam, are you on Twitter and Facebook and everything? You got to get the message out there. Just a minute, sir. And you can do that with all the news media. Who would have thought that we'd get beat in that election? How many of you in here thought Romney was going to win? Wow. You guys, no, I didn't say hope. How many of you hoped Romney would win? How many of you thought Romney would win? I did. I was shocked. And we somehow didn't have our ear to the ground. We were paying attention to the wrong set of information, you know, the demographics that were coming back and so forth. But the answer is not a third party. You need to get engaged in the party that most responds to your beliefs. My beliefs are, I know what the Bible says, and I don't believe in abortion. I wear this little lapel pin here with the little feet. What does that stand for? Pro-life, okay? I mean, we are killing babies. I mean, the foundation of any civilization, any country is the family. And we have problems within the family in America today. And that's where it's got to start. And but what can you do other than the media thing? You can get involved. And if the Republican Party is what they believe is what you believe, then get involved in that. How many Central Committee men are in here today on the Central Committee? 5, 6? Guys, get involved in the Central Committee. I mean, the Central Committee is the local representative for the Republican Party in your county. We have in Brown County 33 seats there, and those guys are the ones that are out there supposed to be spreading the information about the party and so forth. Get involved in that. There's a lot of things that you can do, but when you leave here today, and I'm about done with my prepared comments, which are none. I just get up here and talk about concerns that I've got. But what you can do when you leave here today, if you do one thing, and that is make a commitment to do more than you are now. Get engaged. Get involved. And there's a lot of different organizations here that have been mentioned. I know there's a Second Amendment group back there in the back. There's Chris's. I mean, there's a lot of folks here. And how many of you how many do not have their CCW? Wow. All right, I told my daughter, you're getting a CCW. And she shoots and so forth. But I said, the best reason, and one of my colleagues in the House came up with this answer, the best reason for you to have your own permit and to carry a weapon is because you can't carry a cop everywhere you go. You can't carry a cop. And I mentioned last night the same thing Jim said a little while ago. The only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is what? Is a good, and Wayne LaPierre hit a home run with that because it is common sense. That's exactly right. And we've got problems today. There's not enough police officers out there. Our budgets are strained. In the schools, you know, in Israel, there was a picture last night shown with a teacher with her kids, and she had a weapon on her. What's wrong with that? Oh my God! People are afraid of guns. Why are people afraid of guns? You know, when I was a little boy out in the rural area of Brown County, I started with a BB gun, you know, and then went to a pellet rifle and went right up the gauges, you know, and everything. But little children aren't involved with guns now. As like when I was a kid, you could walk down the road going to the creek with a .22 rifle. If I did that today, I bet they'd be calling the sheriff and the man with a gun. Anyway, so things are different today. Let's do this now. What time is it? Quarter to what? All right, when are we done?
We got about 10-15 minutes.
Okay, let's start here. And if you have a question or comment, how about standing up and say who you are? Because I don't know who anybody is. Right there, young man, go on, stand up and your question.
My name is Steve Sasala. I live in Brunswick Hills. Your question, what can we do?
All right, let's do this. I will take the microphone back there. Isn't this, these cordless mics, aren't they wonderful? Yeah. All right, sir. Now, my last name is Bubp, and I have enough difficulty with that. What is your last name?
Sasala, S-A-S-A-L-A.
Well, how about that? Sasala. Okay.
And the question, what can we do? But then we tend to go off into some of the global things, sort of like top down, it seems. And I've been a lifelong Republican since I voted for Barry Goldwater. I also wrote my master's thesis on Ronald Reagan in his president-making speech for Barry Goldwater in '64, which then raised $500,000. And so I've been dedicated to the cause. I'm donating money left and right to Josh Mandel and to our senators, and I want the right thing like you all do. But then what can we do? And I realized when my 6 30-something kids and their spouses weren't voting, I said, this is wrong. They had some mistaken notion if they voted that they might be called to sign up for jury duty. I said, I had to dispel that notion. And so all this money I'm doling out to the Senate, the local races, and the National Republican Party and candidates. I said, kids, I got them together. I said, you're all going to vote in the next election. This is 2009. And all of them now voted. And 2 of them, all of them voted the right way, I might add, because I made sure they got absentee ballots. And they asked my advice, I give them my advice. We have 6 staunch Republican conservatives. That's 6 people I brought to the polls. I can't imagine, some of you might have 20 and 30-year-olds who might be out there doing their own thing or listening to the college crowd. And I did teach college for 40 years. I wasn't very popular there because I had Reagan stickers on my car, and I had Bush stickers, etc. But and 2 of those, my 6 in-laws and children, 2 of them have their CCW permits, and another one's working on it. The point here, action precedes motivation. And so what can we do? You got to start with some little steps, take some action. And I didn't tell them to go get CCW permits, but they saw what was happening. They started paying attention once they voted. And once they voted, they realized, and they're staunch. And when my daughter-in-law came over with her CCW permit and showed me her new Glock that she had purchased just 2 weeks ago, I said, good for you, Michelle. You know, she's one of my prizes there, my daughter-in-law, my son's wife. And the other 2 are working on the CCW. But the point is that we got to start with our homes and with the families, and it grows from there because they're talking to their friends. And the like-minded, brought together, will take action. All the other things, and Bob Gibbs, when you called about the phone bank and the interaction, I just didn't have time, but I'm among the church choir there, you know, I'm with you. And that was a big step in there. So it's educating our own family where we can, and going from there. It's a little step, and it's really almost frightening when I hear about how the voter fraud and the votes that were canceled out, you know, and my kids were just sick to their stomach when they saw the election. I had a big dinner planned and reservations and everything for all the kids and the daughter and son-in-laws, but we still celebrated in a different way. I said, don't give up, don't give up. I said, you gotta carry on the banner. So that's one thing we can do.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, I will tell you that we're running out of time here, but to summarize that, it's your responsibility, your family, your kids, and so forth, to engage them and get them involved in this process. Adam, you had something?
I know a lot of us came here this morning to do some discussion about the Second Amendment, and I wanted to say something this morning, and out of respect for Mr. Ted Nugent. Most of you here, I'm sure, are familiar with Federalist Papers, and they basically talk about what the Founding Fathers were thinking when they put the Constitution together, and specifically about the Second Amendment. And I, for one, you know, people ask me how many guns you own. You know the right answer to that is enough to own a safe. So I get tired when you hear, especially in the media, and I'm sure all of you hear, the Second Amendment is about hunting. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. Additionally, the Second Amendment is not about self-defense from bad guys, because the Founding Fathers, if you read the Federalist Papers, specifically number 46, they said